No.
And that's why Titus is our favorite show.
No. It's Titus.
Titus is our
And
favorite show.
it's not our favorite. Maybe you've never seen it. Sorry, we're talking about Christopher Titus.
Oh, hello!
Hello, yeah.
Welcome and thank you for joining us once again for this, the 71st
episode of Drunk Doctor Who.
Discussing the 71st serial of the Doctor Who show.
I'm drinking Magma Flame because life is too short for bad tasting alcohol.
What are we drinking today, Heather?
I'm drinking Magma Flame. What are you drinking?
Drinking Twisted Tea.
Yeah.
This one's peach.
My norm and his norm. Alright.
Completely sober, too. Completely sober.
I'm tipsy. I'm not drunk, but I'm wasted, but I'm tipsy. You say you're completely sober? You haven't been drinking enough. Alright, I'm not driving, I'll tell you that. Okay. Today was Invasion of the Dinosaurs.
Khakis tonight.
Yeah, tacky khakis. Alright.
Khaki tackies.
This is a Alright. This was the second serial of the third Doctor's final season. His fifth and the 11th season overall.
Only 3 more serials, right? 2,
Yeah,
3.
3 more serials, and then we're done with Pert when we move on to Tom Baker, the Doctor. Alright, there were 6 episodes. They aired from January 12th, 1974 to February 16th, 1974. Okay, our companions are Sarah Jane Smith, the Brigadier, Sergeant Benton, gotta throw that in there.
It's Butler, but I spelled it Butt.
Lure.
And then
Yeah, but
Get it
Whitaker.
'cause he's
You
a-
gotta put down Whitaker.
Whittaker.
Whitaker. Okay. The antagonists are Grover. He's Prime MP Grover. Butler, who was one of the scientists. Whitaker, who was the main scientist. Not to be confused with Jodie Whittaker, the 13th Doctor, although I could see her being a relative, because the guy's evil. Yeah. So
And we
you know
have-
aspersions on Whittaker, but you know.
We have the return of the cavemen.
Okay. Oh wait! You forgot Captain Yates.
Yates.
Yeah.
Yay!
Yes, Captain Yates is an antagonist in this. All right. Captain Yates, which is why we've not listed him as a companion, because he didn't travel in TARDIS, and in this particular case, he's actually working against the Doctor, the Brigadier, and etc. What do you mean? Okay. No, you don't put Yates there. No. This is Benton. Benton.
Break. Benton Yates is Benton.
No, there's
the
no
companion?
Benton on there.
Is Benton the companion?
Yes, Benton is a companion.
I think that's the fullest the board's ever.
Alright. Yates is not a companion.
I like Yates.
Well, yeah, he pulls a gun on the Doctor. He's helping.
You know what? It's about time.
No, what are you talking about time?
The Doctor has a real authority problem.
Oh yeah. Yeah, that's why Benton punched a general in the nose. Alright.
It was justified. Oh, the general's
It
bad.
actually was. Oh my gosh.
What's the general's name?
What's his? Alright, hold on.
Hold on. General Finch.
Finch, yeah.
Finch. That is a full cast.
Yes, actually. This is a very large cast of characters for this particular serial. Okay. As the title would indicate, it's an invasion of dinosaurs.
That's pretty much a subplot, though.
Okay, well, there's a couple of subplots. The invasion is a means to an end.
Distraction.
A distraction. And even underneath that, you have the looters. But the main plot is some people trying to turn back time everywhere in the world except in a small field in London so that they can erase the pollution and the generations of man so that they can go back to the golden age and steer civilization down the correct path.
They're scientifically advanced Amish who are taking.
Well, they're scientifically advanced people who are trying to take environmentalists back there.
Amish. They don't like the.
They don't like pollution, not necessarily the technology.
They specifically said the technology led to the corruption of man or something.
No, I think in the end it's greed.
That's what the doctor said.
That's what the doctor said. Yeah. Okay. Oh, you dropped your pen. All right. So. All right. To start us off, even before we get into the plot, I gotta talk about the black and white of the first episode.
Are you in the Pin 15 club?
Pen 15? What are you talking about? Pennsylvania 15?
It's a club.
It's a club.
You're not in the Pin 15 club?
No, why would I be in a Pen 15 club?
It's a popular club.
They sell you pins?
No. I'll tell you about it later.
Okay. Alright. So anyway, along with the first two doctors, the third doctor had a lot of episodes that were trashed by the BBC. All of them were found. However, they were all done in color, and most of them were found in color except one episode. There's a single episode of Invasion of the Dinosaurs, the first one, that was only found in black and white.
I didn't even realize they were still scrapping.
Yeah, well into the second doctor, well into the third doctor, yeah.
Well into this is last season.
They didn't stop scrapping stuff until the mid-late 70s.
Right now we're in 73.
Yeah, and the next serial...
74.
Yeah, 74. The next serial that was supposed to be scrapped was the Daleks.
That'd be
like the original Dalek serial.
Why would it? They have no sense of preservation.
Well, there weren't generally VCRs at the time, and there was not, generally speaking, home media at the time, and reruns really didn't exist. So they had no idea that this would continue into the future for broadcasting or home video. And so there were some short-sighted people who looked at the budgetary stuff and scrapped things. Also,
could you imagine what the world would be like with no reruns?
Well, that sounds like YouTube.
YouTube has reruns.
Well, you can watch the same thing over.
Yeah.
But generally speaking, you're not going to. You're just going to watch whatever content there is new if there's not reruns.
I rewatched some videos.
Some, but not most. Yeah. But, and also there was one...
I feel like television is like, over half, 50-60% reruns.
Well, yeah, probably if not more. I mean, okay, to be fair, we have 70 years of broadcasting from which to pull upon, and movies for 120 years from which to pull upon and broadcast. Yeah. That's why there's so many extra channels these days, because some of them just show reruns, like TV Land or My TV, which shows Hogan's Heroes,
Boomerang,
F Troop, and all that stuff. Yeah. All in the Family, whatever. But anyway, so also during the scrapping, there was one department here that thought the other department was keeping all the copies. And this department thought this department was keeping all the copies.
They never decided to talk to each other?
I don't know. But there were assumptions made.
It wasn't a single memo.
But anyway, so the first episode was recovered. It was one of the ones missing, but it was only recovered in black and white.
Did you explain why it was in black and white?
Well, no. Because when they transferred it over to go to other countries, some of those countries, like Zimbabwe or Ethiopia or wherever, were only still broadcasting in black and white. But it was recovered, and they colorized it. Not with a modern colorization technique like they used to do on certain home movie channels, but they actually used the red dots that are hidden inside of even black and white film to indicate the various colors that the certain items should be in the film, which apparently is a thing I didn't know about until this came along.
Fascinating.
Yeah, and they were able to colorize it based off of the palette of the actual black and white because of the hidden information, the red dots.
It doesn't look good.
Well, yeah, it does not look like the actual color should have looked like. It's better in the black and white if you want to go that route, and we watched it in the colorized. But everything's extra red, except for the things that they...
We started off watching it in black and white.
Yeah, and then I went and switched it, yeah. Except for things like the TARDIS, of which they know the absolute color palette is blue.
The whole thing was blue.
Right. So, if you're watching the DVD, you get to go to the special features and choose between watching it in black and white, which is what was found, or watching it with the colorization.
Hey, just the first thing. This right there.
No, you stole my pen. What happened to your pen?
What do you have a pen for? It definitely went under.
You got a binder with documents and notes.
Definitely went under the couch. One of them. Keep talking. Keep them distracted. Keep them busy.
All right, here's the pen.
There it is.
Okay.
Found it.
All right. Anyway, so we watched it in the colorized version because it was closest to what the actual transmission was. But when you get past the first episode and you go to the second episode, you can see the stark difference between the two.
Very starch.
Yeah, stark.
Tony Stark?
Yeah, stark.
Man.
Okay. Anyway, so we're off of the Time Warrior, and the Doctor and Sarah Jane show up in modern day London, or what was then modern day 1974. But London is deserted. It looks like it did at the beginning of 28 Days Later, when the guy gets out of the hospital and looks around. There's nothing, and it was filmed on a Sunday morning, because apparently Sunday morning is the only time to get London in a completely dead state.
London closes down on Sundays.
Yeah, Great Britain.
Great Britain.
You remember the Doctor said, it actually says that in the first episode. Great Britain always closes on Sundays.
No buses, no taxis.
Yeah, just empty.
It's bizarre because you get that same... That kind of happens in like Salt Lake City, where everyone's very religious, a lot of Mormons. Really, most things are closed on Sunday.
Makes sense. I mean, you might have some eateries, but that'd be about it. So, okay. So the Doctor and Sarah Jane are looking around. They're not finding anybody. They realize everything's shut down. They end up running into some looters, and they follow one of the looters into a jewelry store. He pulls a shotgun on him, leaves, and then runs his car into something and is killed. Children show, but
Ton of blood and ketchup.
yeah. But to be fair, I think that was the only death in the entire serial, right?
The entire serial.
Wow.
It was setting up to be like a brutal, But then that's the only one that happened.
Mm-hmm.
His face was all bloody though. It's kind of great.
Mm-hmm. So the Doctor and Sarah Jane pick up his carpet bag.
For whatever reason.
Yeah, and they were going to turn into the authorities.
Oh.
Then they follow some other looters, whom they scare off. They get in those looters' car. And this is inside of a little garage. Oh, first those looters attack the Doctor and Sarah Jane, and they knock the Doctor out a little bit. After the Doctor took care of one, but the second one then. And then they leave. They overpower him. They get up. They eventually leave the garage, and they finally hear a monster, a dinosaur, right?
Yeah, they're still locked in the garage.
When they hear the dinosaur. Oh no!
A pterodactyl.
The pterodactyl. A pterodactyl. Why do you never hear a pterodactyl pee?
Because the poop is silent.
The pee is silent. Oh, you mess up. Right. So the pterodactyl comes down, attacks him, and it does not look. You can see the strings if you're watching it on an HDTV. And it doesn't look anywhere near as good as the CGI of the pterodactyl and Torchwood. We'll get there.
Think that it was meant to be watched on this kind of TV.
No. So much of the special effects in this particular serial, some of them are actually pretty good. Some of them are like, yeah, that's a children's toy, you know.
Did I tell you I got a new TV?
Uh-huh.
I got a new TV.
Oh yeah, you told me that.
4K, 55 inches. Immediately, I sat down for maybe half an hour and watched some like 4K clips just to drool about the definition and the color and stuff. But then immediately I went back to playing like just really old video games like Knights of the Old Republic and the original Battlefront 2. And
do you have a 4K player?
I don't think I do.
Okay.
I just have to stream all my 4K stuff.
Well,
it has automatic upscaling, so it tries to turn like HD into 4K. Yeah.
Well, it can do it to a certain extent, but not full.
Not true 4K.
Right.
4K.
But I have some 4K discs, and if you get a 4K player, I can loan some of them to you.
Okay, that sounds nice.
Yeah, and
I'm at Blu-ray right now with the Xbox.
But I did get a 4K player, and there's just a scant few movies I own in 4K. Because they're friggin' gorgeous. You know, things like Blade Runner. Or The Fall.
The new Blade Runner?
The
old one upscale.
I think I may have both of them in 4K. But just a few things in 4K because it's just so gorgeous.
I saw something weird, right? You know that Moses movie? Their old one that they show every year? I saw that on DVD and they said it was...
Ten Commandments?
Yeah, I think that's the one.
Okay.
I forget the name of the actor, but let my people will go.
They
show it every year.
Okay, wait. The name of the actor, you're talking Charlton Heston?
The old one, yeah.
Yeah, I think he's passed away, but he lived to be over 100.
Really?
Yeah, and he was the head of the NRA for several decades.
That's cool. That movie I saw on DVD, they said they upscaled it to 5K. Which I didn't understand how that works, but apparently, like the original film they use can be like upscaled to something.
Okay, back in the day, the epics were filmed in 70mm film, and some modern films have also been filmed in 70mm.
What does that translate into?
Okay,
pixels.
You have 8mm, which is like home video. You have 35mm, which is standard. And then you have 70mm. The 70mm, you can put on a screen as big as you want, and it's going to be drop dead gorgeous. And 70mm, I think, can be upscaled to either somewhere between 5 or 8K. Okay. But there is a limit even for that type of film.
I just thought it was weird that they upscaled the Moses movie to 5K when we don't have 5K players.
There are 8K TVs out on the market now. 8K.
8K TVs.
There are 8K TVs out on the market.
And players?
I don't know about the players, but there have been broadcasts in 8K. I think I can't see.
At a certain point, like
what's the you and I can't see it, right?
What's the difference?
4K, I can see a difference. I don't think I can see a difference past 4K. Like I can see a difference between DVD, HD, Blu-ray, and 4K. But eventually, you can't see it.
It's just like looking through a window.
Right, but the 4K and the 8K, I think, would look the same to me.
Yeah, probably me too.
Yeah, I think for the vast majority of human beings, there's not going to be much of a difference. But they did some of the Olympics 4 or 5 years ago. They broadcast it in 8K in certain regions.
You know what's weird is that the Tokyo 2020 Olympics got canceled, but they came out with all the games anyway. Postponed. But yeah, it's happening in
August.
Yeah, this year, 2021. But they made all these games and they just released them anyway. And they all say 2020 Tokyo Olympics. There's like the Mario Olympics.
There'll be a little asterisk in the books for
it. They just pretend like it didn't happen. They're like, well, if we made these games anyway, we're still going to release them. It's like a weird... I feel like that's going to lead to some sort of confusion at some point.
It's called gaslighting.
They just pretended it didn't have. They're like, we don't want to repackage the game, relabel it. remake the intro.
Go through all of it, yeah.
We're just going to say 2020 Olympics.
Well, it may yet be called the 2020 Olympics, despite the fact that it's taking place in 2021.
That's weird, though. That's like it's
right.
pretending it didn't happen or something.
The last year and a half have been weird, okay? Alright. Okay. So back to Doctor Who. Okay, so the Doctor...
The pterodactyl.
The pterodactyl's attacking him. Is that the end of episode 1?
No, they fight off the pterodactyl, they get in the heist jeep, the Looters jeep, they drive out.
They go out, and then they get caught by a patrol that's out there.
No, they're blocked by a T-Rex.
Did they get caught by the patrol first, or blocked by the T-Rex first?
I just wrote down that the end of episode 1 was T-Rex blocks jeep.
Wait, but the T-Rex was blocking not their jeep, right? It was blocking the jeep of those guys or something?
I thought it was the
Remember it broke through the building?
Yeah.
And they were trapped, and they threw the grenades at it, but that was not the Doctor.
That's when that's the end of...
The end of 2 is when they run out of...
Yeah, that's the end of 2. The end of 1 is T-Rex blocks jeep.
Right, but
the end of 2 is T-Rex encounter.
Right, but that was some unit soldiers. The Doctor and Sarah Jane haven't encountered the monsters yet. They have no idea what's going on well into the second episode.
Yes.
Okay.
That's the patrol jeep that gets blocked.
Right.
That's the end of the episode.
Okay, so the Doctor and Sarah Jane get picked up by a patrol of armed soldiers. They are taken back and they are being processed and tried by a military guy as looters.
They're picked up with another looter.
Yeah, they picked up with another looter, and they are marched through the ceremony, and it's very, very, very brief. It's like, okay, prisoner 99 or what was it? 87
777.
Wait, 177781 and 177782. You are being charged with this, and they're like, "Oh, we picked it off of this other guy, the guy who died, and we were going to give it back."
Is saying 77 faster than just saying 77?
I don't know what he says.
More clear. Because he doesn't say 777 because it's 8777.
70 is 3 syllables. Double is just 2, so it's a syllable faster.
77. There are 3 7s in a row though. He could say 777.
Yeah, but he doesn't.
777. He says 777. Or he could just say 777.
True. All right. So anyway, so the Doctor's trying to find out what the heck's going on. Why there's nobody in London. And nobody will tell him. Nobody will listen. So
777 will be the fastest. The shortest amount of syllables.
Yes. But it's not what they do. So the
It's
Doctor.
like when people dash their 7s and their 0s.
When
it's because of chemistry. Apparently, there's a symbol that looks just like a 7. So if you dash it, you know it's a numerical 7, and then
the 0 looks like an O. So you put the line through the 0. To
that's why they line the zeros, but they put arms on the 7.
Okay.
Or in math.
What does it look like?
A dashed 7?
No. What is the other symbol? The whatever.
Exactly, it's just a 7. But it's in chemistry or something. But it's not a 7. So that's why some people dash a 7.
I do the zeros frequently. I don't do the 7s, but I do the zeros.
Zeros for me are more oblong, right? And then O's are circular. So it's like a sphere versus a oval.
Right, but if there's any chance at all of mixing them up, I will a lot of times put the slash to the 0.
Yeah, but like I feel like the 7 thing is pretentious because no one's doing chemistry. No.
Okay.
Well, we're 777.
The Doctor and Sarah Jane Smith are picked up by unit soldiers who happen to actually be in charge of the empty area of London because 8 million people were evacuated.
Because the dinos.
To, what was the town they were evacuated to?
Just the outskirts or something.
Well, no.
They named one of them.
They named the town where the government is gone. I can't think of the name of it.
Me either.
But anyway, so they go out. Doctor and Sarah Jane are trying to figure out what's going on. Nobody's willing to talk to them or tell them because they assume they know, even though they've been gone in the past, or into the past. And
they assume they've been looting.
Yeah, they take pictures of them, and the pictures get sent to unit headquarters. And unit headquarters, the brigadier's like, Sergeant Benton, will you file those looters? And Sergeant Benton notices the doctor and Sarah Jane Smith.
Big old smile.
Yeah, and the doctor's pictures is like, you'll see my right side's my best. And Sarah Jane took pictures because they had no idea how serious things were. And they're just playing it up, you know? Okay.
I got the feeling that the doctor was doing that for Sarah Jane's sake. Because she was kind of freaking out and he was playing it cool, you know, laughing it off. And then she followed his lead and she did a big old smile.
Yeah, might have been.
That's the impression I got. That's kind of sweet.
I didn't catch that, but you may be right. Okay,
because when they first arrive, the doctor has this habit of like explaining away the companions' concerns when they're like, you landed in the wrong spot or the wrong time or this isn't Earth, and he always gives an explanation. He's like, oh, I was a little bit off, and they're like, what was that big crashing noise? He's like, oh, it's just probably the Park Service
cutting down trees. Yeah, he
Don't
did that during the serial. Yeah.
So it's either, you know, optimism or denial. I don't know. It's either he's trying to reassure the companions, or he's just not willing to accept that he still can't steer the TARDIS. Maybe a little bit of both.
Probably all of the above.
But after that scene, he did seem like he was doing it for the sake of Sarah Jane. Like
for a while until things got serious.
Things did, yeah.
Okay, so so there's a patrol that's out there, and they get caught in a particular alley or street that's blocked off, and then a T-Rex comes through a building right by. Looks pretty bad. Part of that's the colorization in episode 1. Part of it's the fact that they have an animated T-Rex that looks horrible, and they have a not very moving T-Rex. It's probably a child's toy that looks pretty good.
Still looks pretty bad.
But,
Still looks pretty bad.
But better than the other.
Much better than the other.
But then they've got the animated T-Rex coming to the building.
The one they use for the close-ups looks a lot better.
Yeah. So
with the blinking eyes.
The T-Rex breaks through the building. The episode ends. We finally learn invasion of the dinosaurs, you know. And then we go to episode 2.
Yes. Where they have been tried and found guilty by the military court. The looter that was with them, who tried to convince them to jump the guard, at first they said, no, thank you very much. Now, the brigadier isn't showing up. They're like, maybe we should make a break for it.
Right, and they asked to speak to the brigadier. And the court-martial guy is like...
Their trial didn't go very well, yeah.
Yeah, right. What, is he an old personal friend of yours? Well, actually he is. And he'll help you, he actually will. Yep, you are found guilty, looting, yada, yada, yada.
That's interesting.
Yeah, and they get sent back over to the corner, but there's only one guard, so they decide to connive with the thief. And the doctor's like, let's not just jump him, let's pretend we're having a fight, get him over there. They do that. They punch out the guard.
Vulcan nerve.
Oh, yeah, the Venusian foo, and he goes down. And, but...
The looter has the gun.
The looter got the gun, and he says, well, you go that way, right into the guards. You'll distract them, I'll get away. We never see him again. We don't know if he got away, actually.
No, because the doctor goes, I'm not going out into the guards, and then he Venusian
foods kick the gun away, Venusian food, throws him over the stage.
So we assume he got recaptured.
Yeah, seriously, the doctor kicks ass.
All serial.
Yeah. He and Sarah Jane get away, and they find a Jeep, and they get in the Jeep, and they're trying to hotwire the Jeep, and the doctor gets out to look in the back, and then there's the guards with the guns. They caught up to him, and turns out that's the Jeep to take him to the, what's it called? Detention center. Taking the detention center. They literally went.
Work camp.
Yeah, they literally went early to the Jeep to take him to the detention center. So the guards handcuff them together.
They
handcuff the doctor and Sarah Jane together. They leave the other guy behind. I don't know why. The Jeep moves out.
When does the caveman show up?
In a bit. So, episode 3. Caveman shows up in episode
No, it's
3.
in episode 2.
Is it 2?
Yeah. That's when I wrote down the note. Episode 2 ends on another T-Rex encounter. That's when they escape the Jeep.
Right, but no, they escape the Jeep. Wait, no. But episode 3 is when the caveman shows up. Because at the end of episode 2, they're looking out upon the T-Rex. And in episode 3, at the beginning, they're looking out upon the T-Rex. And then they escape and go to that.
So at some point before the end of episode 2, they ran into the caveman.
No, that's in episode 3.
We also find out... okay.
Episode 3. You're taking less notes these days.
No, I'm taking more accurate. Time 80 Caveman in episode 2. Mike Yates Bad Man. And T-Rex encounter. They have a kerfuffle with the caveman from Serial 1 season.
No, it's a different... No, it's not a caveman. It's not a caveman. That guy is like middle ages.
Golden Age.
Bronze Age.
Bronze Age.
Bronze Age. That guy's middle ages, not a caveman. Where's the caveman on there?
Next to Butler.
He's not a caveman. He's from the Middle Ages. He has steel, or at least bronze weapon. Not steel. Alright. Okay.
Somewhere there's a caveman.
No, he's not a caveman. He's from the Middle Ages.
Somewhere there's a guy in furs that they run into who thinks the doctor's a wizard and he tells him to send him back. That's where the doctor catches on, oh, there's time travel involved.
And there's time eddies. Yeah.
You have pulled out, yeah, and then the caveman jumps him, but then the time eddy freezes Sarah Jane, who's trying to jump on his back, but sends her back a few seconds in time, and then the caveman disappears, and then the doctor is somewhat resilient to time eddies.
We've been really bad at explaining the series. Really bad.
He remembers what happens, but he realizes that anyone else around the time eddy, their memory is erased for the past couple seconds because they're sent a few seconds back in time, while the Bronze Age man or the creatures are sent back in time. Anyway, that happens.
Wait.
That because of that kerfuffle, there's noise, and that's how I think they got captured in the first place, or the second place.
Did you miss the whole?
They escape their
Jeep showing up. The T-Rex shows up, and they run out the back while the soldiers are dealing with the T-Rex.
They escape the court-martial twice.
Yeah.
Because the first one's the pterodactyl, and they break out in the Jeep.
Well, that's how they're captured, but that's not an escape from the T-Rex. Or from the court-martial.
They're standing in the room, and they're talking, and the caveman's just standing in the corner ominously.
Yeah, it's a really good scene, actually. I like it.
Episode 2.
Yeah. But no, okay. Okay, you gotta watch it. Apparently we're sucking tonight.
In this order, I wrote episode 2 was Caveman, then Mike Yates Bad Man, then T-Rex encounter.
Yeah, okay.
So there's 2 subplots going on.
Yeah, well, there's several subplots.
Between the Brigadier and the Doctor.
So Captain Yates is now a bad guy. Okay, hold on.
Morally great guy.
He's a bad guy. Okay, so the Jeep shows up, runs into a T-Rex. The soldiers get out. The Doctor and Sarah Jane run out the back of the Jeep, run the other way. They escape.
To be fair,
To
be fair, this could be at least an episode shorter. Because it was kind of repetitive. They ended up doing...
Well, that's going to happen in most
things,
six-parters, except for Genesis of the Daleks.
Sarah Jane escaped from from the underground like 3 times in return.
Yes.
And they do escapes.
That happens a lot in Doctor Who.
They capture the dinosaur and it gets away, and then they recapture dinosaur. I don't know. It just it's confusing because some things kind of repeat themselves, which is why we got lost. I think in the order of things.
I think we got lost because we were drinking, but okay. So the Doctor and Sarah Jane run away. Then they end up in a garage.
Again.
Again. The third time. And they're, like you said, there's a caveman, not a caveman, a Bronze Age man
that guy
hiding in the corner. He goes after the Doctor because he thinks the Doctor's a wizard. The Doctor says, I'm not a wizard, I can't send you back.
I want my family back.
I don't know that reference.
What's the name of the movie? Life is... It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life.
I want my family back.
Okay, love that movie.
It's a good movie.
He goes after and attacks the Doctor. The Doctor fends him off. They help Sarah Jane jumping on his back with a stool. I mean, seriously, a leap onto his back.
she like took a run up and run and jumped.
She's short. The guy was tall, and I mean, literally, he was about Pertwee's height. And Pertwee's pretty tall.
Big boy.
And but then she falls off the back, and he goes in that time eddy, goes back. And eventually, the Doctor figures out it's a time eddy because he went back in time briefly. They finally get picked up by Unit, i.e. the Doctor and Benton, and they're taken back to headquarters. And they finally figure out, it's like, oh, here's the Doctor. And we're introduced to the Hanyak General Finch. Who is in charge of everything in Greater London.
CEO. Well, the Minister Grover's in charge of the evacuated London, and then Finch is like the militaristic General Strong.
Correct, General Finch, yeah.
Who's the CEO of, he has been put in charge of the Brigadier and Unit operations.
Yeah.
Or something.
Yeah, so... anyway, so they're listening to the Doctor, and the Doctor's like, well, there's got to be a time deal, because these creatures are coming here from the past, and they're here for a little bit, and they're disappearing. So he wants to capture one of the creatures.
Like the caveman.
Yeah, no, not the caveman. It's not a caveman.
Disappeared. That's why it's time travel, we know.
Okay.
Because at first we're like, did they hatch from an egg? Were they breeded?
Well,
you can't hatch the caveman from an egg, so that's why it's time travel. It's because the Bronze Age man.
And that is brought up. Yeah. You want some?
On my Twisted Tea?
Yeah.
That's good. That's good there. Right. I don't know how it's going to taste.
Neither do I, but it should be interesting.
You want to try it?
I'll take a sip, yeah.
You want to be the guinea pig?
No, you're the guinea pig. If you don't die, then I'll try some.
Mai Tai.
Mai Tai?
Mai Tai. Stranger.
No. Wait.
Must be poison. Poison. Count Dooku from Star Wars.
Okay, so you...
Mai Tai, stranger.
No. Mai Tai invites you. Choose your poison. Yeah. Okay. The Return of Captain Invincible. Poison. Right.
Be the poison.
No. If you don't choose your poison, I'll have to bring the boys in. Okay. The Return of Captain Invincible. Great bad movie.
I like that number.
Oh yeah. All you gotta do is drink. Oh, it's fantastic. It's so
Doesn't
bad.
Doesn't it have the girl from... I'm wanting to say Dr. Horrible's sing-along blog, but it's Rocky Horror Picture Show. Does it have the girl from Rocky Horror Picture Show in that?
No, but I think that some of the songs were written by the same guy who wrote the songs for the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Okay. Captain Invincible?
Some of the songs, I believe, in The Return of Captain Invincible were written by the Riff Raff. from Rocky Horror Picture Show, who wrote all the stuff for the Rocky Horror Picture Show. I don't think he had any of the same actors though.
Ooh, chartreuse man.
Jumping like a real live wire. Yeah, but but anyway, good, fun, bad movies. All right. Oh, I'm gonna try.
Cinnamony. Very sweet.
I like it. Actually.
This is
I like it.
peach twisted tea. So it's peach twisted tea, cinnamon
whiskey. Okay. So the doctor's going to try and
tastes kind of appley. The cinnamon peach tastes like cobbler.
like you're correct actually. Yeah. Okay.
Like caramelized cobbler I'm drinking right now.
This is just your therapy, right?
What?
This is just your therapy, right?
Oh,
you talk everything out every week or two with this. Alright.
Whenever I miss a week, it comes out like verbal diarrhea.
Oh, yeah. So, and sorry we missed last week. I had a friend who was in need, and we attended to her, as friends do.
I think when you called me, I was just waking up.
At like 6?
No, it was like 5 p.m.
That's still 5?
I took a nap.
Okay.
I stayed up to like 6 a.m. and then I got up at 11 and I took a nap for a few hours.
So sorry we weren't here last week, but we're here this week.
So you're like, we have to cancel. I'm like, oh no, I guess I'll go back to bed.
Did you go back to bed?
No, I got
Okay. Gosh. Alright. So the doctor gets the idea in his head to catch one of the dinosaurs so that he can see from whence they come. Yeah, it sounded like a firework.
Uh-huh. In the dumpster. They're like setting off black cats in the dumpster.
Alright.
It had a boom.
To be fair, Sunday is Independence Day. And there's going to be a lot of fireworks. I've already seen some Saturday or Friday. And we'll see a lot more. America. Alright. So, the doctor wants to capture one of these dinosaurs and he builds a device to make them faint, tranquilize them.
Supersonic ray gun thing.
Yeah. And he does this, and at first, he wants to capture a
Brontosaurus.
Brontosaurus. Okay, so here's where we find out that Captain Yates is a bad guy. Captain Yates goes to warn these scientists in the bunker, i.e. Whitaker and Butler, that...
Can we back up a little bit? When they all reconverge in HQ, right? And they learn that London has been evacuated, and Sarah Jane is talking to Mike Yates.
Mm-hmm.
She's like, it's so eerie, there's no one out there. And then you kind of get an insight into Mike Yates's
Captain?
morals or justifications, because he goes, it's kind of nice, right? Because you can hear the birds, and she's like, air's cleaner, no pollution. And Sarah Jane Smith was like, I prefer the London the way it was, traffic jams and all. He's like, yeah, I guess.
And he goes, you're probably right, and she gives him a look.
That was the precursor to So later, once
the first hint, yeah.
Once Mike Yates walks in and the doctor constructing his knockout device for the dinosaurs, he immediately goes off to go to the secret underground base to tell
Whitaker
and Butler about fireworks. See, it sounds like it's in the dumpster, right?
But yeah, it's fireworks. People are going to be celebrating all week.
Sounds like someone's knocking on your back door.
Nah, it's obviously fireworks. Okay. The sound is too short. Yeah, it's too short. Okay, so we see Yates, and you called it. You did.
Well, it's because you mentioned it several times before that
Yates is not a companion because he betrays the doctor, right? and because he never rode the TARDIS, and
It's like, this is it.
yeah, this is it. And Yates is part of this conspiracy that's doing this whole weird thing.
The reason I caught it was because of the very poignant conversation between him and Sarah Jane. And there's that awkward silence, right, where they disagree on how London should be. And like,
Yates just goes, yeah, you're probably
something.
right. Yeah. So, anyway, Yates shows up at the bad guy's place, and he's like, the doctor's a threat. I don't want to kill him, and he says that several times.
He likes the doctor. He's not a bad guy, per se, right?
He's still a bad guy, but he's not the worst.
He's an
guy.
Amish.
He's not evil.
He's an Amish communist. He thinks
There's no such thing as an Amish communist. Alright.
He wants the golden age.
Right. So he warns Whitaker and Butler about the doctor.
I think.
And Whitaker says, you gotta take care of him. And Yates says, well, I'm not gonna kill him. And Whitaker says, well.
Not be and nor will I let him be harmed.
Right. And Whitaker says, well, you have to.
The real bad guys are Finch and Grover and Whitaker because they're willing to kill people.
Yes.
But Yates and Butler, they're like, we don't want anyone to get hurt.
Well,
even though they're in the grand scheme of things, they're kind of vaporizing all.
I'm not sure Butler was in that scenario. I think Butler was with Whitaker.
One of those agreed that he shouldn't be hurt, or maybe it was Grover. Grover was kind of against anyone really.
No, it was mostly Yates as a semi-beggar. Anyway, so the doctor's got a ray gun that's going to knock out the dinosaur, make him faint.
And Yates has a magnet.
And Whitaker gives Yates a device that will neutralize the gun.
So you know how DVDs are magnetized? That's how. That's why
DVDs are not magnetized.
The magnet ruins the DVD.
No, that's VHS.
And DVDs.
No.
Yeah. Floppy disk, VHS, and DVDs.
No.
Ruined if you put a magnet on them.
Not DVDs.
Try it. Try putting a magnet on a DVD.
Okay, we have a copy of Showgirls. Let's try it on the copy of Showgirls.
Let's do it. That DVD's not gonna work.
Okay.
There's this one person. There's a joke in the IT where they had the floppy disk and it was labeled backup, and they put it on the fridge with the magnet.
Love the IT crap. All right. Anyway, so. Alright, I'll keep going. You come back.
Here's my notes if you can read them.
Probably can't. Alright. Okay, so. Anyway. The doctor tries to capture a dinosaur. And Captain Yates had put a little deal on his gun that would render it useless. He tries to capture it. It disappears because he fires, does nothing. And this was a Stegosaurus, which is what the doctor wanted to capture, a vegetarian armadillo version of dinosaur. But then a T-Rex shows up. Captain Yates runs forward. Picks up the doctor's gun because the doctor got knocked out by a grenade, which was used to try and stop the Tyrannosaurus Rex. Yates takes off the little deal and shoots the T-Rex, and the T-Rex goes down. He faints because it turned off his brain. Then they take the T-Rex into an airplane hangar, tie him down with a bunch of chains. And the doctor sets up a bunch of sensory devices around him, around the T-Rex, and a machine that will capture the information from when the T-Rex dissipates and goes back to his own time. So they can better pinpoint the source of the energy, which has to be somewhere in central London, the doctor figures. However, somebody goes in, it turns out to be Yates, and sabotages the device to record the information because the bad guys understand the doctor is coming for them. and they're trying to literally kill the Doctor. Although Yates doesn't want that, even though he's a bad guy. The higher level bad guys, like the General Finch and Whitaker, want to kill the Doctor. So even though Yates sabotages the machine, somebody else under General Finch's control, or General Finch himself, cuts all the chains. So Sarah Jane goes to take pictures of the dinosaur. She does so with flash.
Great idea, by the way.
Horrible idea. We're going back to King Kong, the original here. And the T-Rex wakes up, slashes about, tries to kill Sarah Jane. Somebody locked her into the place, and they were trying to kill her. The T-Rex batters the place to the point where a beam falls down and knocks Sarah Jane on the head, giving her a bit of a laceration right here, which comes into play later. The Doctor eventually finds her and removes her, and that's good. The end of episode 3 is when she gets hit on the head, right? When the T-Rex is awake.
It ends in a spaceship when she went.
Episode 3.
Yeah.
No, that's episode 4.
Left Earth. That's what I wrote down as the end of episode 3.
No, it's gotta be episode.
Episode 4 ends with the Doctor framed for summoning the dinosaurs.
Okay, you may be right. Alright, so... Man, I swore the T-Rex wouldn't cross an episode there. Alright.
That's, yeah, I guess not.
Okay. So the Doctor gets Sarah Jane out of there. They all go back to the headquarters. And the Doctor says, well, I've got the readings of the machine. Oh no, the machine was sabotaged. Sergeant Benton brings in the chains. So look, the chains were cut. And so the Doctor's like, well, there's a saboteur here. There's somebody on the inside working for the opposition. They have not yet figured out that it is Captain Yates.
Or Finch.
Or Finch.
Or Grover.
Or Grover. Not yet. So the Doctor decides he's going to come up with another plan. He's going to try and remotely, not with a machine around the monster, the dinosaur, but with a machine that can point at it and get the readings
Portable
for the
machine.
time. Yeah, portable machine. Trying to figure out when the monsters dissipate or whatever.
Brigadier was like, why didn't you do that in the first
Place. He said, well, it's not as accurate. Yeah. But
so I have a question, right?
okay.
They knock out the Doctor's trying to capture the Brontosaurus, right? They had Yates sabotage the beam.
Yeah.
Yates pulls off the magnet and so instead of being content with just the sabotage with the beam gun, the knockout gun,
The
they
bad guy
decide
sent
to
the T-Rex
unsummon the Brontosaurus and summon a T-Rex. So then Yates pulls off the magnet, knocks out the T-Rex, right? They spend probably an hour or two like transporting the T-Rex, chaining him up, setting up all this equipment, and then the scientists are like, it's detrimental to us if they get readings off of our micro.
Right.
Why wouldn't they just de-summon the T-Rex as easily as they brought in and out the Brontosaurus? Why wouldn't they just be
Because
like,
they were setting it up as a trap to kill the Doctor.
Oh, okay, yeah.
But Sarah Jane fell into
She
the
triggered
trap.
the trap instead.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because she was a journalist, had to go take pictures with flash of the T-Rex.
Investigative reporting. You think she would know that?
Yeah, I would think. Alright. Anyway.
Covert reporter.
Okay, so anyway, the Doctor figures up he's gonna do this remote thing. And
What's that movie we watched with Ewan McGregor?
which one?
That where he's the investigative reporter, and there's the lady investigative reporter, and then it ends with the big I know you know that I know that you know that I know.
Oh,
Girls.
Down with Love.
Down with Love.
Great movie, fantastic movie.
I really like investigative reporters because they're almost like spies, like James Bond people of the newspaper world.
Kind of. All right, I'm going to the restroom. You continue.
What's his name? The investigative reporter, Rowan Fallon. Rowe.
I don't know.
You don't know that one?
All right, you continue with the plot.
Okay, so we're
Okay, so
we're
Sarah Jane decides
she's
to go off because she's looking for a nuclear reactor.
So she was rescued by the doctor after the bonk on her head. The doctor takes off. Benton is supposed to be watching Sarah Jane Smith, right? To keep her safe, and she goes, "I gotta get out of here." I think it's this scientist who has been discredited and disappeared. He's probably behind the whole time travel thing. They're not willing to look into it because the doctor's off using his portable thing, and so they disregarded my theory. And then Benton was like, "Well, I gotta keep you safe," and she's like, "Give me a car. I gotta go look into this lead." And then Benton's like, well, "How am I gonna explain that? Where am I gonna say that you go?" And she gives a cheeky, "Just tell them that I've gone off to play because they've left me to play, and they, left me out of the men's work. Yeah, I'm gonna go prove it myself." So Benton says, "Okay, I'll call you a Jeep. I'm gonna get in trouble." But there you go. So she takes the Jeep. She drives it to the minister's house, Grover, who's kind of like in charge of the evacuated London, and she goes to Grover and she says, "There's a scientist. I think he's behind it." Once more, I think there were plans to build an underground bunker during the Cold War when they're afraid of atomic warfare. I think that's probably where they set up this custom-made reactor, which is powering all this, time machine thing. And Grover nods and he goes, "Oh yes, very interesting. That sounds like a very good theory. I actually have, a bunch of patents and filed paperwork here in my office." He opens up this door, which has like the secret door, and there are a whole bunch of file cabinets, and then Sarah Jane Smith walks over to the index and she's looking through it. She's like, "It says it should be in this file cabinet probably." Grover says, "Oh my gosh, you're right, here it is." And then she's like, "Oh, this is it. This is where they are." And then she goes to walk out of the file cabinet. Surprise, surprise, the whole file cabinet room that they had walked into was actually an elevator. So when she goes to walk out, she opens the door. No longer the minister's office, but they're in this underground base. And then the minister says, "After you." And she goes, "Oh no, I've been captured or something. What's going on here?" So, flashback to the doctor. He's doing his merry-go-round, fixing up his machine. He's driving around. He goes. What I'm confused is Betsy, his car never shows up. She's nowhere to be seen. Even though they're at Unit HQ, he goes to the brigadier and he's like, can you give me a Jeep, or earlier. But now in episode 3, he goes to the brigadier and he goes, "Hey, that project I've been working on, wink wink nudge nudge, can you have that brought up for me?" Turns out it was the Who-mobile, this like weird looking hovercraft. So I'm assuming that maybe he dismantled Bessie to build this Who-mobile thing. Anyway, that's what he's driving around with his portable energy reader to try and find the secret hidden base. Meanwhile, they stick Sarah Jane Smith in this room with these flashing lights to kind of knock her out, or I don't know, reprogram her mind or something. It doesn't work very well, but she wakes up and she's told she's on a spaceship headed to the new world, and there's these 2 elderly people and this younger guy. She was a reporter. She had interviewed these people before. It was John C., but now he calls himself Mark, and we had this dude called Cullingford. He was some businessman, but now Now she goes by Ruth or something. She woke up on the spaceship.
Well, they're going by their first names or something, you know?
No, they changed their names. Like the athlete, the younger guy, the muscle, his name used to be John C, but then he changed it to Mark.
Maybe that was his middle name.
Maybe. But they all have different first names now because they say I'm so-and-so, so-and-so. But now I go by this. So they're all headed to the new world, or so they think, in the spaceship that she wakes up on. They're going by different aliases or different names, I don't know, to start their new life. And that's where episode 3 finally ends.
It's episode 3?
That's the end of episode 3.
Okay,
she wakes up on the spaceship.
You thought this could have been shortened? There's a lot going on in this 6 episodes.
Well, it's a lot of like repeat kind of stuff. I
right, but there's a lot going on.
There's a lot going on. So, episode 4, the Whomobile.
Yay,
we're talking
Whomobile.
about the Whomobile. Where'd Bessie go? Where's Bessie?
Bessie's not there, but they have the Whomobile.
My theory is I think probably he dismantled, because he had Bessie, then he upgraded Bessie with like these gadgets. And now Bessie's suddenly missing, right? Because he goes to the Brigadier earlier and he goes, do you have a Jeep I can borrow? And it's like, well, you're at Unit HQ, where's Bessie? So now I'm thinking maybe he dismantled Bessie to build the Whomobile.
No, never.
Does she show up later? Or?
No, but no, I don't want this to be the reality. It's not shown, but no.
Because he goes, can I borrow a Jeep? And it's like, well, if you're at Unit HQ, why don't you just use Bessie?
Well, no. Later on, he asks if the car he was working on is there.
Yeah.
And that's
which is the Whomobile, which I think he took Bessie apart to build.
No.
Which explains why Bessie's not at Unit HQ anymore.
No. Bessie is unsuitable to the current situation.
Because gadgets and stuff. I don't know why he wouldn't use Bessie instead of that Jeep. But anyway, so the doctor's driving around his Whomobile. He's getting a reading on his energy detector outside this theater or something. And he
No, underground.
Right, yeah, he breaks into, it looks like a theater. He breaks into the service entrance.
That's the underground. That's the...
Oh, for like a subway?
Yeah,
okay.
That's the underground.
So he has a pocket full of skeleton keys or something, and he opens...
got him from Joe.
What?
Probably got him from Joe.
Oh. That's, yeah. Because she's the escapologist.
Yeah.
She did used to carry those around. Those probably are Joe's. He sent Joe off with the crystal. He said, are we going to see Joe again? We see Joe again, right?
Briefly.
Okay.
Wait. We see Joe again twice.
Oh.
Once briefly in this stuff, and then again in the Sarah Jane Adventures, actually.
Apparently the doctor stole her keyring of skeleton keys. Because he gets into the underground. He's walking around. He's investigating with his flashlight and his energy detector. He hears a bump. Someone's coming in. He dives. He turns off his flashlight. He's hiding under a bench. And then he watches this guy come in. It's Whitaker?
Butler.
It's Butler who comes in, unlocks the. He presses a secret hidden button for this
in the broom closet.
Slighted broom closet. You see this light. He unlocks it, walks in, closes the door.
And it's
you see
lift,
the light
an elevator.
So the doctor comes out, recreates it. He finds this secret hidden button. Uses a different skeleton key to get in there. So he finds a hidden lift. He goes. I said up, it goes down.
Yeah, and it's not a button, it's a lever.
Yeah, it's a coat rack, coat hanger that you turn sideways, and that descends, and then he doesn't stick around for long because he's exploring, but they're shutting off all the hallways.
Right.
So they kind of corral him back to the lift, so he just goes back up.
Right, and they're like, oh... he must have followed you, Whitaker talking to Butler. Yeah. And he says, and Butler says, well, maybe now we can deal with him. And so they
don't.
they shunt him back to the lift, and then they send a pterodactyl. Well, he goes up to the top, and then there's a pterodactyl.
They're really small pterodactyls.
Yeah.
And the doctor keeps punching him in the face.
Yeah, with a broom. A mop. With a mop.
He broke through the Jeep window. He punches the pterodactyl in the face. He's coming in the broom closet. He punches it in the face and then pushes it back with a mop.
Yeah, really small pterodactyls.
Small pterodactyls.
About this yay big, yeah.
Hawk size, owl size.
Yeah.
Eagle size.
So the doctor escapes. and heads back to Unit headquarters, right?
Yeah, he's recruiting the Brigadier so they can storm this underground base. He shows up, he sees Sergeant Bitten, he goes, "Where's Sarah Jane Smith?" And he said, "She's gone off to play, that's all she told me." She's
already been captured, right?
She's on the spaceship now. It's not a real spaceship. Spoiler!
Yeah. Not a spoiler. I mean, everything we're talking about is spoilers.
So, meanwhile, Sarah Jane Smith woke up on this fake spaceship. She's saying, "This ain't right." They're like, "You've been asleep for 3 months. We're en route to the new world." And then she feels the bump, and I think that's when she realizes, "I haven't been asleep for 3 months. This is a ruse."
She's been asleep for hours. Yeah.
So she goes, "This isn't right. What's happening?" And they go, "Maybe you need to be re-educated."
And the spaceship is supposedly leading them to a new Earth, where there will be people who will be led in the right direction environmentally. All, leftist crap. But they're not going there because the spaceship isn't real.
The real plot is that they're turning back time on Earth, and all of Earth is going back into the golden age.
They're going to take the central London and leave it in a bubble. And the people there are okay, but everyone's been evacuated.
Not even all of central London. Like they set a park in central London.
Right.
So when they get out, it looks like it's just a part of the rest of nature.
Right. But then everyone else in the entire world is erased.
Cease to exist.
Right. All the time goes backwards. Centuries of mankind is wiped out, civilizations, etc.
The ends don't justify the means.
Correct. The ends do not justify the means.
But Yates thinks they do. And Finch thinks they do.
Well, yeah, they think.
And Grover and Butler.
Yeah, most crazy people think the ends justify the means.
The dinosaurs. Maybe.
But anyway, so she's on the spaceship.
She's like, well, you can't make it to a new star system. Well, they invented a new space drive. Well, this doesn't make any sense. They're like, well, you need to be re-educated. Let's send you into the propaganda room.
They put her in a re-education propaganda room, and she's listening, and they're showing all this crazy environmentalist propaganda. And finally, she's like, I've got to get out of here. And what's his name shows up? What's his name? Mark.
He now goes by Mark. He used to be John.
Yeah. He shows up. Yeah, he was an athlete, and he's
Olympic long jump.
Right, a lot of people on the spaceship are in suspended animation, but yeah, the two elders and Mark, and he's kept there for muscle. So anyway, he shows up.
They talk as if they just woke up from their 3-month hibernation, and they're waiting on everyone else to wake up. But
I don't know if they have or not. But they're assuming there were some people that were awake the whole time.
Yeah. They probably just woke up from a nap and then they're like, "Hey, you've been en route for 3 months and you're almost there."
Well, most of them, I think,
because they're all tricked. Like they all think they're going to the new world.
Correct, but I think the elders and Mark were awake the entire time because the elders would guide the ship and Mark was the muscle.
Okay.
Occasionally you need muscle.
They think there are 7 ships, all with 200 people or so on them.
Yes.
So 1,400 people. There's not though, which I don't know why they would lie about that, because they're gonna find out once they show up in the new world.
So that the
where's the other 1,400 people?
So that Grover can come in and say he was on another ship.
Yeah, but they could just say there's one other ship rather than 7.
Correct, but
there aren't any other ships.
Yeah, but that's what they did.
What happens when they're missing 6 other ships? They're like, where's everybody else?
Well, when everything's said and done, you can tell them the truth, and they can do it from there. I mean,
they might be upset.
They would be upset. Who wouldn't be upset? The only one who might not be upset is Ruth. She seems.
Well, she's upset eventually.
But she seems very
not willing
to
kill. Investigate. Yeah.
She's very willing to kill Sarah Jane Smith.
Well, they both were for the jeopardy of their mission, which they've done.
Ruth the most so.
I think the other guy, the other elder, would have killed her too.
No, because he listens in and tries to figure things out.
Right, he listens to the truth, but he was still, I think, willing to kill and
I disagree. I think Ruth was the one
because
who was willing to kill. He was
Mark,
like,
Mark comes in to give her a meal, and she's like, I don't agree with any of this. And he's like,
she's
you're going to die if they will kill you if you don't agree. Which means they're all kind of.
I think the female elder is the worst of the lot.
She would have put her to death. The other two would have gone along with it.
I don't know.
Because Mark goes in and goes, you're going to die if you don't agree with this video.
Right. Mark's trying to stop it, but the male elder also listens in and questions and thinks for himself.
They're radicalists willing to kill for their ideal world. Meanwhile, the doctor is like, well, where's Sarah Jane Smith? Maybe she went back to the scene where the T-Rex was. Mm-hmm. So he goes off there just so they can frame him. So they summon a dinosaur right when he shows up. And then General Finch.
Well, they decide they need to discredit him.
Yeah, because they don't want to kill him.
Yeah. Well, because Yates and others are not willing to kill him.
Blame him for the dinosaur showing up.
Right, and they've almost had the countdown and everything set up. So they run into where, okay, so Whitaker calls the doctor and says, I know you've been looking for me. They had me held, but now I'm free. I want to meet you in this warehouse where you're working, but I trust only you. Bring no one else. So the doctor shows up in the warehouse. There's a weird device that can spy on him and summon these things. And then the doctor shows up, and the dinosaur shows up, and the General Finch and everybody else shows up. And he goes, the doctor is the one summoning the dinosaurs. This is your man. And that's what the episode ends.
Also, Sarah Jane in the re-education room goes, yes, I see your point. I would like to speak to the elders. And
right, but she
guts him and makes a break for it. So the episode 4 ends with the doctor being framed. We're in episode 5 now.
Right, episode 5. They take him back to HQ. Yates and the General head off because they're co-conspirators. The General tells the Brigadier to secure the doctor. The doctor tells Sergeant Benton to secure the doctor. There's a couple of guards. And then Benton tells the guards to go secure a prison, make a room, reasonably a prison cell. And then Sergeant Benton looks at the doctor and says, what's going on? The doctor tells him, and then Benton goes, well, you should get started. He's what? You should get started overpowering me. There's only 2 of them in the room. And the doctor looks at him and goes, thank you, more or less. And does the Vulcan nerve pinch, and the sergeant goes down, and the doctor escapes. Are you scratching out questions?
Yeah, the ones we've covered so far.
Okay, cool. Alright, so the doctor gets back out there. He's trying to blow up the underground base tunnel.
To gain entry.
Entry.
Yeah. Meanwhile, Sarah Jane Smith is refound by Mark, and she goes, she was messing with the controls, trying to reach the other ships. She realizes it's not a real spaceship. I haven't been asleep for 3 months. This is all staged.
She gets out.
Yeah, Mark shows up and he's like, what are you doing? Why did you make a break for it? She's like, it's not real. He's like, I don't believe you. And she's like, I'm going through that
decompression.
The outlet. And he's like, are you crazy? It goes right out into space. She's like, I don't think so. And he watches her walk out of the spaceship and he goes, oh, that's not space out there.
Yep, and she goes out into the hallway of the underground bunker that she's already been in.
Mm-hmm. She finds her way back to the lift, which was the file cabinet that led up to the
The MPs.
Grover's ministers.
Right.
Minister Grover's
Minister of
office.
Parliament.
She makes it back to unit headquarters, where she runs into a guard. She says, "I have the proper permissions." She's leaving a note for the doctor.
She runs into General Finch.
Right. She's leaving a note for the brigadier and the doctor, and then she runs into Finch.
She knows that the MP Grover's in on it. She knows that Yates is in on it, but she doesn't know that Finch is in on it. So she talks to Finch, and he's like, "Really? Is this what you think? Well, let's go check it out." And while he says this, he takes her alone back to the MP's office, and they go down in that, and then he pulls a gun on her. It's like, oh.
And they go back down the elevator into the underground thing. He's like, "I think you know your way."
Yeah.
And this is the second time it's happened to her, so she goes, "Man, I can really pick my friends, can't I?"
Mm-hmm. She says that.
She has been recaptured. She's in the underground base. She's like, "Are you going to put me back in the spaceship?" And then
they wind up putting
Whitaker-
her in a broom closet.
Whitaker says, "No, I think that'd be quite disruptive." So they lock her in a broom closet.
No, Grover does that.
Grover says that. Yeah, that'd be quite disruptive to the passengers. She's locked in a broom closet, but she wiggles free a dust vent.
In air vent.
And she goes out into the air vintage.
And
which
she ends up back into the
spaceship.
spaceship anyway. Oh my gosh. In the meantime, the doctor has looking for her, and he ends up back at he ends up on the street, and General Finch is trying to capture him. General Finch shows up in a jeep with a couple of men.
Meanwhile,
and General Finch told everybody to shoot on sight. And the doctor's standing there, and then the brigadier and Sergeant Benton show up, and the brigadier's like, "He's a unit prisoner. As part of unit, we will take him." And the general's like, "No, you won't." And then the brigadier goes, "Sergeant," and the sergeant moves up and pulls a machine gun. Oh, thank you, Sergeant Benton. He's so loyal. I love his loyalty. Thank you. Yep, Sergeant Benton. And he pulls a machine gun on the general and his men. And the brigadier has balls of steel. Balls of steel. And the general says, "Okay, I am entrusting this prisoner into your care." And he leaves. Mexican standoff, and the brigadier won. So they take the doctor back. And they decided to get a bunch of explosives to look into the elevator, the lift that took him down into the deal.
Mm-hmm. So the doctor and the brigadier are together with the explosives, trying to get into the underground base. The brigadier says, "Benton, call for backup."
Yep.
"I'll go for backup," and the doctor says, "There's no time." It's like, "Well, we'll send Benton to get back up." So Benton runs into General Finch at the headquarters, and he's about to call Geneva and call for backup, and the general says, "I don't think that's a good idea," pulls a gun on him,
yeah,
and he goes, "Okay, yes sir," and then turns on him and knocks the gun out, and they're kerfuffling, and he
punches him in the face.
He goes, "This means court-martial." He's like, "Yes sir, I'm very sorry sir."
I'm sorry, I know, I'm sorry. It was great.
So Benton does get to call for backup, but he can only reach one patrol vehicle, but it's on its way. Meanwhile, the scientists are like, "The countdown's almost done. We have to drive everyone out." So they summon a whole bunch of dinosaurs all roaming around the city.
Just chase out anyone who's still remaining.
Including a Stegosaurus that shows up in the underground tunnel with the doctor and the brigadier. So the doctor's wiring up the explosives. The doctor's like, distracted brigadier.
The brigadier got a flare. Yay!
I'm running out of flares. He's like, "I'm almost done."
And he goes through several flares. Yeah.
So they blow a hole into the underground base.
And the doctor says,
I guess
"Go
they
get
brought some
reinforcements. I'll go down there." And apparently Sarah Jane's convinced pretty much by this point everyone that it's a fake. And they rush out, and the doctor shows up.
Yeah, she showed up on the spaceship again. They're like, "How'd she get out?"
Well, she went through the air ducts to the spaceship.
Mark tried to lie. He's like, we should leave her alone in the re-education thing. And the elder sees through it. He knows he's stalling, so he's like, maybe we should all go into the re-education before we land.
The male elder.
It's like she escaped, and then they run into her. She's in the room, and she's like arguing, it's not real. And then Ruth is just not having it. She's like,
correct.
She's like, shut your face. But the other elder, the old guy, he's like, right. Maybe something is afoot here.
The one who looks at the father on Family Ties.
That guy. Yeah. And so she goes, there are no other ships. So he goes to radio the other ships. Most of them are static.
And there's nothing.
But ship number 1 radio's back, which is really the scientist. He goes, we need to talk to Grover. There's, some stuff.
So Grover comes over in a spaceship.
Dresses up in a spacesuit. Pretends to have shuttled onto the ship. So Grover's there. He's trying to talk sense into it. Mark, who believes Sarah Jane Smith at this point, is on her side, but Ruth is and Grover, speaking to the masses, they have more pull. So as a last-ditch effort, they just make a break for it. They break free from being held, and they make a dash for the decompression chamber. They're like, we'll show you.
And Sarah Jane opens it up. Mm-hmm. And she doesn't die. There's no space. She goes up into that, and
then Mark goes, look, it's not real. They're like, well, Grover, you have some questions to answer.
So they go into the underground bunker. They
start marching out of the spaceship.
And then they meet up in the
Whitaker
control room
Butler.
With Whitaker and Butler.
And the doctor.
Right. Well, the doctor shows up in a little bit, but yeah. So Mark grabs Whitaker.
The end of we're in episode 6 now. The end of episode 5 was when all the dinosaurs showed up.
Yeah. So Mark grabs Whitaker. The doctor shows up and he's like, "Hey, you guys, this is bad. Don't do this. Yeah, don't
have
do
some
this.
explaining to do."
Yeah. And Grover's still trying to convince everybody that's a good idea.
Ends justify the means. And they're like, you lied to us. You're going to erase all of mankind?
Correct. Well, several centuries of mankind, but yeah. And Grover's like, no, it's okay. And eventually, Whitaker manages to get away. And he pulls the lever.
Yeah, he's losing the crowd. They're turning on him. So he makes a mad dash to pull the lever and send everyone back in time. The doctor, however...
everyone else is affected by the time shift, but the doctor being a Time Lord is not.
He's a little affected.
And he goes slowly, and he manages to
pulls the
flip the lever back.
And then starts pushing some dials and buttons, which reverses the polarity.
Reverse the polarity! Yay! Okay.
So then Whitaker goes to flip the switch again with Grover, and they're like, don't do it, he reversed the polarity. And then just them and the machine gets sent back in time.
They're sent back centuries earlier.
And they're like, where'd they go? And the doctor goes, they've been sent back to their golden age. I hope they like it.
Yeah. Which? Just Whitaker and Grover.
Yeah.
They were the ones holding the machine.
So, the Brigadier shows up with the reinforcements. Everyone's convinced that it's been a ruse. They take,
everything is good.
Sergeant Finch is knocked out, so they're filing paperwork to have his court-martialed. Butler's in custody by the unit soldiers. And
General Finch, Captain Yates.
Yes.
Yeah.
And Butler.
So.
And then, so everything's happy-go-lucky. Sarah Jane Smith says, well, I'm never going on that TARDIS again. And then the doctor
says, well, it's good
wooing
her planet. That's beautiful.
He woos her with a vacation of scenic beaches with milkworm waters
and sands. The texture of Swan's down.
Some soft sand.
Yeah, you know what down is, right?
Down feathers.
Yeah.
Like goose
feathers. So the feeling of the feathers of a swan.
I hate down, by the way. They talk about down feather like comforters and pillows like this. Mm-hmm. It's this elaborate luxury, but that's all bullcrap. Because whenever you lay on a down comforter or a pillow, the down feathers, they have the spines in them, and they pierce through the thread count. You're constantly getting poked with.
It's
with
great if you're not allergic, but some people are allergic.
They need to, like, I don't know, break down the spines and the feathers or something. Maybe it's poor quality down comforters and pillows that I've experienced. Maybe there's a better way to do it. But every down comforter and pillow I've ever slept with was just miserable.
Okay, what questions do you have? Anyway, so that's the end of the serial. Everything's good. Alright. Apparently everyone goes back to London. The bad guys are prosecuted or disappeared.
Court-martialed. Disappeared. We covered most of my questions throughout the recap, but one big question is, what's up with Grover and Whitaker? They're sent back in time.
Yeah.
With the time machine.
No.
So they're gonna
with a machine.
With a machine.
Power.
Okay.
The machine will have no power where it's going.
Okay, but they're gonna wreak havoc in the timeline, right? They're these future age people that have gone back in time to re-educate the past human society. What's to stop them from continuing to do that now that they've come back?
Okay. Odds are they might be killed upon entry because the people treat them as witches or warlocks.
Yeah.
B, if they're not, who's not to say that the timeline we currently have has not incorporated their interference?
So you're saying there's like a branch off timeline that they maybe.
Well, it could be, but that's not what I was saying just now. What I was saying was.
So they might show up later.
No. What I was saying was our current timeline may have already incorporated their
I see what you're saying.
Yeah.
Fixed point in times, nothing really changed.
Correct. And minor things may have changed, but nothing big. But I don't know. But even then, our absolute current timeline may have included their meddling from this point. And they probably killed each other in a suicide pact. They were horrible.
They're trying to change. They were horrible. I guess that was my last question.
That was your one and only question.
Oh, also the Amish people, the Amish communists who want to go to the New World or reinvent humanity. Let's talk about the people who are really behind it, like Finch, Whitaker, Butler, Yates, Grover. They know that they're resetting Earth. They're not at all afraid of the fact, the repercussions that's going to have on the technological advancement, that Earth in its current timeline is being reset back to the golden age to kind of start over again.
1200s.
They're going to be super unprepared against alien threats and invasions.
Yeah. Once again, the ends justify the means is a communist meme, and they don't care how many people they have to kill or wipe from history, they'll do it.
Or the fact that they're setting themselves up to not be able to defend themselves from other more advanced species.
Correct.
That have continued advancing and reset themselves in the timeline.
Correct.
Okay.
They're horrible. Socialists are horrible. You know?
Alright, so that's the last two questions I have for episode 6, and we covered all the other questions while we're doing the recap, so I think we're all caught up.
Alright.
Next serial, Death to the Daleks.
Death to the Daleks. Alright.
4 episodes.
4 episodes, then we have 6 and 6.
Then we have Something in Spiders.
Yes.
And then that's it for...
That's it for Pertwee.
Pertwee. No more Pertwee.
Then we'll go to Tom Baker, the doctor.
What does Tom bake?
Tom Baker.
Is he baked? Is that a marijuana thing?
No. Baker was originally a
Look at those eyes.
Cake thing.
He looks baked.
No. No.
You know who probably smokes weed?
And he's the Tom Baker. No. Tom Baker's the oldest living doctor that still lives.
He's still alive.
He's still alive, and he's the oldest living doctor.
He passed away.
He passed away. Tom Baker and all the doctors after him are still alive.
No other doctors died? Okay.
No, they've all died actually in order.
So Tom Baker's probably next. How old is he?
87.
87.
Yeah, he's probably next.
You think Tom Baker's gonna pass away before Voldemort over here?
It's not
Or
Voldemort.
this guy? That's totally Voldemort.
No,
That's Snape right
McCoy.
there. That's Snape, Professor Snape right there.
No. Professor Snape has actually already passed away.
That's definitely Alan Rickman right there.
No, it's not Alan
That's Alan Rickman's dad.
It's McCoy.
McCoy is Alan Rickman's dad.
No.
Look
No.
at
Tom Baker.
You can just see him.
All doctors past him are still
You
alive.
can just see him saying yippee-ki-yay.
You're on the wrong end
Alan
of that,
Rickman.
sir. You are. No.
Do you have any other questions for me?
What are you? You have questions for me. I know Doctor Who. You don't.
You don't have any questions for me? I feel like you're more drunk.
I am more drunk. I've been drinking hard alcohol. You've been drinking twisted tea. Thank you for showing up for this episode. Yay! And we'll see you next week, hopefully, with episode 72.
And then we'll have a week off, and then the one after that. The end of July, we're not doing one.
Well, last week of July, that's a ways from now. It's like
Also,
5 weeks from now.
Last week is September? Something in the end of September, you're going to a concert?
Well, yeah. Listen, I gotta see
That's not a
Daryl Hall
Monday.
and John Oates in concert in Fort Worth.
Okie dokie.
She loves them.
Closing comments there.
Yay! See you later, guys. No, you close the aperture on the left.